All right, let's talk about a choice that every single business leader has to make, one that really can shape the future of your company. It's a simple question on the surface, but the answer is, well, it's everything. Are you working with a vendor or are you working with a true partner?
It sounds pretty straightforward, doesn't it? One sells you stuff, the other helps you get stuff done. But the gap between those two is massive. One relationship is just about buying something. The other, that's about building your future. And our goal today is to make that difference absolutely crystal clear.
And trust me, this is so much more than just marketing speak or buzzwords. This choice you make hits your finances, it impacts your ability to grow, and it decides whether you can use technology to actually transform or if you're just using it to keep the lights on. The stakes couldn't be higher.
So where are we getting all this from? Well, the insights we're about to walk through come straight from research by Virtualization Options LLC. They're a technology advisory firm based out of Colorado that really focuses on educating executives who aren't in deep technical roles. So yeah, we're going to focus on the business impact, not just the tech specs.
Okay, so let's really frame just how big of a deal this is. This isn't just another line item in your budget, not at all. It's a foundational choice about how your entire organization is going to operate and, maybe more importantly, how it's going to innovate.
And here's where things get kind of crazy. Look at this disconnect. The word partner gets thrown around all the time. I mean, almost 80% of IT providers slap that label on themselves. But when you actually ask CIOs about behavior, less than a quarter of them truly act like one. That huge gap between what they say and what they do is exactly why we have to look past the label.
So, to cut through all that noise, let's use a simple metaphor. Think of it like a handshake. That moment, that initial engagement, it tells you everything you need to know about the relationship you're about to get into.
So here it is. The core difference boiled down to two words. A vendor relationship, it's transactional. You buy, they sell, end of story. But a partnership, that's strategic. It's built to achieve a shared goal way down the road. Let's dig into that a little more.
So a vendor is, at its heart, a supplier. Their focus is super clear. Deliver the thing you ask for and just meet the bare minimum terms of the contract. The whole relationship lives and dies by that purchase agreement.
To put it another way, a vendor's whole job is to fulfill your specific request. The really hard part? Figuring out what you actually need, how it's all going to work, and whether you get the result you wanted?
Yeah, that's all on you.
A partner, though, is playing a totally different game. They're actually invested in your success, not just in making a sale. They want to get your vision, they work with you, and they're always on the lookout for ways to help you get ahead.
And that's the whole point, right there. A true partner becomes like an extension of your own team. They take the time to really learn your business before they even whisper the word solution, because they know their success is completely tied to yours.
Okay, so we get the difference in theory, but how do you actually spot a partner out in the wild? Well, this brings us to what I like to call the litmus test. A few simple, practical ways to check out your own providers.
Here's a great question to start with, and it gets right to the heart of everything. Is your provider willing to put some actual skin in the game? How they answer this tells you pretty much all you need to know.
Think about it this way. In a typical vendor setup, you, the customer, you take on all the risk. If the project flops, well, the vendor already got paid. But a partner? They're willing to share that risk. Their pay is tied to your success, which creates this incredibly powerful alignment.
And this is what it looks like in the real world. This CFO said they knew they had a partner when the provider offered to tie a big chunk of their pay directly to the company hitting its goals. That isn't just confidence, that's real commitment. It's a complete game changer.
Here's another dead giveaway. In your meetings, who does most of the talking? A vendor talks at you because they're focused on their sales pitch, but a partner? A partner listens to you. They spend most of their time just trying to understand your problems, asking smart questions, because they know they can't solve an issue they don't fully grasp.
Theory is great, but a good story makes it stick. So let's take a look at a city in Texas. They had this massive challenge. They needed to modernize their entire network across a bunch of buildings, but they had a tiny, overworked IT team. So what made the difference for them? It was pure partnership behavior. The provider they chose went way beyond the contract, giving them critical support after hours without nickel and diming them. And this is key. They focused on teaching and upskilling the city's own staff, not just making them dependent.
And the result of all that?
I mean, it was just phenomenal. A 40% drop in network disruptions. They rolled out new digital services for their citizens, and they did it all without having to hire more IT people. That is the real-world, bottom-line impact of having a true partner.
That story is the perfect setup for our next section, the strategic payoff. Why should you bother trying to find and build these deeper relationships? Because the return on that investment is just huge, and it comes from all sides.
As an executive, you know total cost of ownership is everything. A real partner improves that TCO at every single stage. They give you guidance so you don't overbuy. They help you manage the life cycle of your assets. They make integration more efficient, and they free up your own people to do more important work. The point is, it's not about the sticker price, it's about the long-term value.
And on the flip side, just look at the hidden costs when you only work with vendors. The data is pretty shocking. We're talking 3.5 times more unresolved problems because of finger pointing, 68% fewer new ideas on projects, and over a quarter of your IT staff's time is just wasted managing vendors. It's a massive drain on your company.
So, all of this brings us to our final takeaway. Now that you have this framework, you're in a much better position to make a really conscious, strategic choice about the kinds of relationships that are going to build your company's future.
At the end of the day, it all comes down to this one simple but really powerful question. The relationships you have today will absolutely determine what you're capable of doing tomorrow. A vendor will sell you a tool, sure, but a partner will help you build a real competitive advantage. So take a good, hard look at your providers and ask yourself, who is really on my team?